Okay, so we are going to discuss these points mentioned here. So in next 2 days, Angular topics. Fine. So reactive forms, we already know how it works. You guys even wrote some examples and programs, so that's good. Next, we need to cover up again. See, oh, what happened? Okay, yeah. So guys already did that. We are going to do certain things you should know. So basic this and some advanced pipe examples. Then fifth about custom, how to create custom pipes. Not fifth actually, it's going to be C part. So fourth point will be all about pipe operators. And fifth, we will see directives. We have already used directives like asterisk ng for asterisk ng if. So we call them directives. So we will see those directives as well. Fine. So these are some topics. Let's quickly jump over. So I've already did some changes. So now I've enabled reactive forms, and let's close other files. Again, I'm not going to call APIs because that will, divert the whole flow. Here we are just learning how to validate a reactive form. Okay, so this is the one, reactive HTML, that's TS file and its STL file. So we are focusing on form and its validation. No connection between front end and back end. Fine. So as of now, the current code, the HTML code, if you see, it looks like this. Let me zoom it. Okay, and if I give anything and random stuff, and let's open inspect console clear. So if I click login, I can see my data is fetched. That's great. What if I leave it blank and click? Yep, login button still works, and both comes with their default value, which is not good, right? Even we can we have two options. Either we can disable this login button unless both has some values. The button should not get enabled, and even if you're leaving empty, you should get those messages. And I saw you guys has done that. More or less, code will be same. So you can easily connect. Okay, this is we have already done, and maybe this is not required or that is not required. There are multiple ways. There's no single way to do this part. Again, I'm trying my best to take it simplest. I mean, take a simplest way to explain you guys. So this is the reactive form and how we can validate. That's the point. So when it comes to not this one, when it comes to creation of form, it is quite straightforward. Nothing special. If you know how to create HTML form, it is same. We just did one thing. Let me take this out from here. Copy. Let's create a new page. Paint image. Save it to paste it. Okay. So what you have to focus just by creating HTML page or HTML form is fine. We added certain thing which is specific to a Angular form. This one, form group. Then we have added one event ng submit and calling a function login user. Then we have added certain things which is again specific to HTML, but then we have added this part form control name and given a name, field name. Then we have created one more HTML element and gave a form control name, which is again specific to Angular. So these four boxes are specific to Angular. Otherwise, everything is simple HTML page. Nothing is special about it. So we give four boxes. First, giving a form group, which is used to bind the form elements. What form elements? Like here, text, password. In future, you might add checkboxes, radio buttons, text area, drop downs. Lots of things are possible with HTML pages or forms. So yeah, you can add anything here, and everything inside this form tags will get binded to this login form. So how it get binded? Let's move to TS file to, again I'm opening this. TS file is here, and this is the one. Wrong pick. Okay, this is the one, login form. Actually, I can, yeah, let me take this whole class example. Copy, paste it. Okay, so this is TS file. Again, let me highlight the critical section. So login form is right here, this one. So this is login form, and we have given two form elements, user and password. There it is, user and password. And we have also given the type, the what's the type. So login form, which is given in HTML page, its type is form group. Yes, we have mentioned it, but in square brackets. So guys, the critical thing in Angular is remembering all these syntax. It's quite weird. I completely agree. If you, and guys, you are doing it first time, so you can kind of remember it. But I have done multiple, worked in multiple languages, so this kind of weird way. But yeah, that's fine. This is how it works. So you have to remember the syntax. So in square brackets, we tend to give the types form group. This is mentioned here in TS file that login form is of form group type. Then when it comes to element, so here user and password has form control name. It's kind of a name or a type. Here it is known as form control. The key which binds all the form, it is form group. The elements which gets binded to that login, it is form control. So here it is form control name, because we have to give the names. Here we are giving form control. That's it. So once you do this much, you can easily see the binding. And if you try to run the code by any value, I can see the value gets binded, and I can see all this data here because we have printed everything on console. That's the whole idea. We just want to keep it simple. Don't want to, complexify this things. Okay, it's done. Now, next step is validation. As we discussed, either button should be disabled, or if we are keeping form elements, the box is blank, so we should get that message. And you guys have already done that. So let me do this. So first thing is you have to make sure that all the imports are done properly. Okay. So let me minimize this. And now notice line 2. It has import form control form group. One more import you guys have to do, that is validators. This one, validators, validators. From where it is coming? Angular form. That means validator is all about validate the form elements. Okay. And where you have to map it, or where to use it, just where you have mentioned. So this gives us a fine-grained control over every single element, that if this element has to be validated, so what should be the criteria. Again, syntax is a one big thing, so you guys have to remember. After giving a blank, right now we are not giving any value, so we are keeping it blank, and then put a comma, then use square bracket, and here you can write validators dot required, just this much. So I'll copy this. Uh, 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 uh. Okay, copied, paste it. So validators required. I just marked both fields to be required, mandatory. It simply means it is mandatory. Okay, this is done. So that's the first step towards uh, giving or adding the validation. Now let's move to HTML file. But where you want to put the message, right? Once you have some error or something, you want to show that message, and that is only possible on HTML page. So we are moving to HTML page. Before it breaks the line, here I want to show something, some message, something. So for that, you guys can use a span tag or anything. I used to use this span tag, caps of span tag. And here in span tag, um, we need to put some conditions. So how to use conditions? By using, we just saw those directives. So I'll put asterisk ng, because we want to show this on condition base, otherwise it will be always visible. So we want to hide and show this thing. If it fails, only then the message should pop up. So I'll write ng if equals, first it is user, that it should be there, and second, and user dot invalid. Okay, and if this happens, so we should say this field is mandatory, right, or required. Where is failing? Let's see what is that. Okay, yeah. I forgot one thing. Once you have this login form, you guys have to also create its get functionality, so you can access it later. So once you have this, create a get, then user the field kind of function start close, and then you write return this dot login form dot get, and then user, the same user which we have used. File saved, and you can say compilation is successful. So it is required, because how does the HTML knows that which user we are using. Okay, it is done. Let's go back on, and I can see the field is mandatory. Okay, so it is coming by default, and it is in black color. Okay, let's change the color by using style color red, right? Change. Now message coming up with this field is mandatory, but we haven't even done anything. It should come when we leave it blank or click and goes away. Then it should say, okay, you have touched that field. You are supposed to type something, but as I'm typing, it is go away. So it's working in a reverse order, right? So what we will do, let's add one more condition. User dot touched. Okay, that's one property or feature, and it goes away. Now we are having two things. It should be there, it should not be valid, and if it is touched, when user clicks on it and goes away, then this message comes up. Earlier we were not touching it. Now I clicked, and let me click here. Oh yeah, now it is coming. This field is mandatory. So I'll copy this message, I mean this span, and before BR tag I'll paste it. Okay. Now instead of saying this, I'll say username is mandatory. Same way, password is mandatory. Going back, thing happens, reload, click, go away, and yeah, okay, the name, it's password. So password is mandatory. It is should not be invalid, touched. Oh, what happened? Oh, of course, I forgot to create its getter as well. So get password, copy it, paste it, and it should be password. File saved, and here we are. Okay, cool, it's working, great. I want to make this button disable as well. If user enter something, only then it should be enabled, otherwise it should be in a disabled state. That can be also possible, not that big or tough. Here's the button HTML. Here you have to put some logic or simple condition. So we have one feature which is known as disabled. Disabled. And here we will give the condition when this button should be disabled. So I'll say login form dot invalid. If that form is invalid, then button should be disabled. And if I go back, I can see the button is disabled. See, I cannot click. Okay, let me click. Still it is invalid. Let me give some username. Ram goes away, and see, as soon as I type, button get enabled. If I click, I can see password is coming up, user is also coming up. So that's how you can enable disable button. So disable is one of the functionality on the you can say buttons or any form, and you can enable the buttons by using that functionality. So if you knows what is reactive forms, I hope this example is clear how to do that validation. Let's put this in next paint validation part. So this is HTML, third image, and in TS file we did some minute changes. This actually I think I should copy The import as well, like from where it is imported. Guys, you should always know from where the library or the class is working. The import. It won't work here. No worries. Oh, oh. Let's make it simple. Okay. Fourth image, and this is the After Effect. Okay, fine. This is TS file.
Pankaj,
Yeah.
sorry to stop you, but why
Mhm.
we wrote get here? Like, what is the use of get there?
Get is for the validation part because whenever validation is happening, it needs to acquire
Mm,
that field which is coming from the form. On TS file, we wrote this, right? Get. So every time
yes,
we are
yes, yes.
we are using validator, it needs to tell that which field is required. So it internally uses this getter. We are not using it explicitly. It is maintained by or handled by validator. You can see we were not using that get earlier, but as soon as you need to
Yeah.
require this or implement the validation part, validator class is required. This is a class ultimately. Okay. See, this is a export declare class. What I just did, hold control and you can open any class like in Eclipse you do that. Same thing is happening here. So it's a class which do all the logical part for validation. So once you use or implement validator, the field which has to be validated, it needs to be acquired by that. When you say required, so how does it know which field is required? So because it has a getter, so it always look for that. Okay.
Okay.
So internally you
Okay.
can say get these getters are used by validators.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, this is done. So yeah, and you guys can enhance this example by adding more elements of HTML page or forms, and you guys already done that. So just add this part, and this is simplest way to add any validation. So your button got disabled, your field is giving message, and yeah, you can also add multiple validation as well. Let's suppose username. Okay, I want to add our size section, the length, right? So after one field, let's say username required, then I'll put a comma and I'll say validators dot. You guys can see multiple things are there, right? See, one is let's say min length. There it is. And here I can give that minimum length should be let's say 5. Now here I am asking that length should match. Otherwise we will keep getting that message that field is mandatory or not correct, whatever. Okay, let's try. Okay, now entering 1. See, it's not gone. 2, 3, 4, 5. As soon as we reach 5, message goes up. If I remove 5, again it comes up. So here you can add that logic as well, requirement as per your validation requirement. Likewise, you can validate email, then max, minth, null, validator, pattern. You can also add a pattern that this usually when you are giving up email, there you require. Maybe sometimes you are submitting a form. There you need to require that it should come in that password member. It contains small characters, big characters, small case, lowercase, numbers, special characters. You can put everything on pattern, symbols, specific, apply, arguments, bind, call. There are multiple things so you can use them if required, but mostly required mid-length patterns are used more most of the time. Pattern is mostly used uh, validation part of a form. So that's about the validation. Let's go back. Topics are small, simple, but yeah, you need to practice them. A lot of practice is required to practice this. Okay, next we are going to discuss about how to pass data, right? Pass data to child component, because it is quite important to know because we are going to create multiple components, and it is always required that you are supposed to pass data from one component to another component. So how it is possible? In Java, we have this concept of inheritance. This is not going to basically inheritance, but yeah, you have to treat one component as your parent and one component as your child. So in future, if you want, you can use it. Let's save it with fifth. So we are learning pass data from child component, not from, to the child component. Okay, pass data to the child component. Okay, fine. So first, what we require, let's start the service. We are going to, we are supposed to create some components. I'm checking if I can use the existing one. Mm. Let's create one component child. Okay, and then what I will do, I will call that component from here. Here means app component. So app component will basically call that like we are calling app reactive, app form, app laptop. Likewise, we will call app child form something or child component, and I'll pass data from app component to child component. Okay, if you get it, that's fine. If not, still we'll see that. Okay, so let's do one thing. First, we'll create, not create, generate the component, and we know this how to work. So we will go till user, I guess, everything in user. Yep, everything in user. So cd src, then app, then user. Okay, then ng generate, oops, ng generate component. I will call this child. Let's just call this child. Yeah, let's call ng generate child. Okay, enter. So it will get 4 files and one entry in app module. Let's verify the module file first. Yep, child component is right here. Great. And 4 files inside user child class. It's there. Great. Let's close the extra files. Okay, let's verify its selector, that is app child. Let me copy it. Copy it. Going back to component page, the parent component, and here I'll call this file saved. Let's open HTML file as well. Fine. Let's generate the, let's run the service. Okay, service up, and if I go back, reload the page, I can see child works. Okay, so new component is working fine. So what we are learning, how to pass data from parent component. In our case, it's app component as a parent, and child component is already child component. Fine. So I need to pass data from here. So how to do that? Let's go back to its TS file, app component TS. There it is. Okay, now I'm going to create one. That's a variable. Uh, that's a data. I'll keep it simple, just variables, simple variables. Data equals to 10. Simple. Data equals to 10. Great. I'll go back to its HTML file. There we are. And then we have to use this space where this Angular tag is closing. Just before that, give a space, give square brackets, then type item. Okay, that's my variable name. You can call it anything. It's user defined thing. And usually we give item, so I'm calling it item here. And the variable which has to be passed, or the value has to pass. So I'll put in a double quotes. This is how you send data from here to, I mean, here means the parent to child. So item is my keyword. You can call it anything. I'm calling it item, and which has data. Data has data, which is 10. Okay, so parent task is done. It's really simple, but yeah, it looks maybe or when you like hear this term first time. Okay, I need to pass data. It's quite simple. Done. Now going back to its child file, the TS file. First thing in child file, you have to do some imports. Okay, so here you need to import after component because it's a part of core Angular. Just put a comma and say I want input. From where it will get that input? From parent. So ask for input, done, import is done. Now I'll go inside the class body, the child component, export class child class component, and here type at input. Again, syntax is mandatory. You should know what is syntax. And then type item equals to 0. Yep, it's the same item which came from uh, the parent. Okay, and at input giving error because I need to give it this way. Yeah, like a function call. Okay, so this item is the same item which we gave here. This one. Okay, again, is user defined. You can call it anything. XYZ doesn't matter. It's kind of a typical way to give items. Okay, so TS file, what I just did, I just initialize that variable which is coming or supposed to come from parent, like a default value. And then I'll go back to its HTML page here, the interpolation, and I'll type let's h1 interpolation and type item. Saved. Let's go back and I can see 10 is coming. It was from child component, if you guys remember, right? It's child component. Let's make it 2. Make it h1. Yeah, so 10 is coming from where? From the parent. So child doesn't know anything. It just initialize that variable. So if it comes, great, it will get initialized. If it is not coming, so the default value will be 0. So that's why we keep default values. So let's just conclude what we just did. This is how we typically pass data, and this could be anything. Right now I have passed uh, just a simple variable. If you want, you can pass the whole object as well, whole array or collections, whatever you can think of, you can pass it. So I just want to keep it simple for you guys. So I picked that example where we are just passing data from parent to child. So let's understand here. We used app dot component dot ts. Now it's HTML. Then in ts file, we just created a variable, a simple variable. Let's copy this. I'll remove everything. I'll just keep the required data. This is ts file. This is parent side, the parent component, which is supposed to pass something. I'll suggest try your end, from your end, try to give some big objects. This I need whole. Okay, it is child dot component dot ts. So ts file, we're giving all this data. And here comes the HTML part. Okay, so we just use this item. I think I should use it different way. Just cut it and paste down. Okay, this is better. So at least we know from where the variable coming up. So this is data. It is used here in double quotes as a string, just a way. Then this is the item which is used here as a variable, and this input we just import it It's here. So input is used to take data from parent to child, and this is the item which is coming from parent, long way from parent. Okay, time to give colors. So data is here, this item is here, this input is used here, the same item is used on Ashley pages. So let me give it small so I can paste it on here. This is one of the you can say widely used technique, and everybody uses that. If you guys are working in Angular, this is quite common. Like two components are using some shared data. If you want to pass data from one component to another component, this is the way. Okay, great. And this 10, last part, the 10 is coming from here. This is the 10 which got printed on our HTML or web page. This is the one. Okay, so now we understood how to pass data from parent to child. Next is two-way binding. Again, small topics are there which you should know, and again, it is one of the simplest topic, not that big. So let's see this two-way binding. Not bonding, binding. Sixth. Okay, so two-way binding. So why we need that? When you want to instantly show some updated value on your web page, like display and updating value at same time. Okay, so this is the purpose of having two-way binding. How do we write that? Square brackets, then parenthesis, and here ng model. Okay, so this is just a syntax. Okay, so how it works? You can simply create a simple text field. Let's do this on child component. Oh, not this one. Let's try this on child component. So we just have this. Let's create a horizontal rule or row. That's how it looks. A line is coming through. Fine. And after that, I want to create some input type. Usually it is used on HTML forms. Input type, simple text. Then here we are going to use that uh, two-way binding process. So square brackets, parenthesis, then ng. Always take care of the case and the spellings. So ng model, and then go out of this square brackets and give some name. Closed. Let's say name. I just want to print a name. And here, let's print this in some h2 tags. That same name I'll type here. Okay, file saved. We're getting error because of this name. It doesn't know what is name here. So we need to give this on ts file. Here we are on ts file. Just give name for now. Let's say any type. Usually we know types, so string is fine. If you don't know what is the type, then you guys free to use uh, take any name. What's the error here? Okay, it wants to initialize itself. So let's say empty. Okay, so we just initialized that name, right? Going back, build is successful. Yep, going here. Okay, that looks odd. So let's give some placeholder. enter the name, file saved. Here we are now going to type A, B, C. So you guys can see some website wants to show the user that what they just entered, maybe somewhere else or some different part of screen. So this is the way. So I'm just typing random anything, and right away you can get it. It's a small concept. We call this two-way binding. So you're typing it, and right away it get printed. It's possible because of this syntax. We also call this banana in the box, like informal way of calling it banana in the box. This is like a banana. This is in a box, present in the square brackets. This whole thing is they treat this parenthesis open, parenthesis close. Selected part is a banana, present in a box, the square brackets. So we call this two-way binding, banana in the box. Again, quite simple to achieve, just a concept, which is I'm trying to cover for you guys. Um, quite quietly, you can say mostly, not mostly, but sometimes it is asked in the interview. That what is that concept, two-way binding, and how to achieve it. So you can give it. It goes in a square brackets with parentheses, and it is implemented by ng model. So we can see the impact right away. So usually for displaying and updating value at same time. That's the only purpose. Think about you have some page, and when you're typing something, you want to update somewhere else while you're typing, like a events. So it is used that way as well. Okay, we don't need this input here, just a name. Go away. Here we are. File saved on a still page. It's a time. We don't need this component thing. Great. Okay, so that's it. That's about two-way binding. This is one page. This is another page. Simple thing. Just focus on that how we achieved it. This is the only dynamic code which is giving us this functionality and gmodel name. Okay, what's next in the list? Basic pipes. Okay, so today we'll just see what is basic pipes, like, or what is pipe. Then tomorrow we will see the advanced examples, how we can achieve it, and then we will also create our own pipes, like custom pipes. Like if you guys remember, usually when it comes to exception handling, so we saw what is exception, then we use them, and then we also create our own exception. Same way pipes, but it's not connected. Exception and pipes is different. Okay, so next paint, seventh. So we're talking about pipes in Angular. So these pipes are treated as a utility. If you want to change something right away or with some condition, you guys can go for this pipes. So mostly it is for utility purpose that I want to achieve this thing. Okay, so pipes in Angular. Let me put a note like where you can use it that way. Let's put a note. Old pipes can be used with HTML pages and are not allowed on TS files. Okay, clear? So you cannot use these pipes on TS files. They are meant for HTML pages. Okay, fine. And because you should know where to use that pipe. So let's go back. Let's create one more. Not this on page. Yeah, the same users. Okay, ng generate component. Let's create this pipes. Okay, I'm creating a component with the name pipes. And let's comment this out. Close to the right. Child is not required. Here comes the pipe, HTML and TS. So we need app pipes. Okay, done. And gserve, entered. Done. Running. Okay, I can see the message comes up, pipe works. Okay, so we are able to call the new component on our page. Great. So let's put the requirement first. Let's say I have a text and I want to print that in capitals. Okay, that way. I have some text and I want to print that in capitals. So TS file on this new component, I'll go to create a new, let's say, variable title, and here um type title could be anything. Let's say pipes in Angular. Okay, same topic. That's my title. Cool. Now if I go to HTML, use this interpolation, I can use the title again here. File saved. Let's give it in H2. Okay, here we are, and I can see pipes in Angular is there. Great. That's capital I. Pipes in Angular is here. Okay, working. Nothing new. We did this is in our first example. What if I want everything in capitals? Pipes in Angular in capitals. How to do that? So let's create a function. Okay, I'm trying to write some simple example. Or function, sorry, function convert to um, uppercase. Let's say uppercase. This is the idea. Function goes here. It will take data of string type, and here what I'll do, I'll say return, and whatever data is coming up, I'll say data dot to uppercase. Okay, this is possible. It's just a function of string. Like in Java we have multiple methods of string: length, index, substrings. Same way we have multiple functions for string. So data of string type it knows, so we can call this function. We have this function ready. Great. As of now, no impact because we haven't used this function yet. I'll copy this line, paste here, and um, remove this. I'll call this function convert to something, convert to uppercase, copy it, paste it, and here I'll pass that data. Sorry, it should be in interpolation. And see, pipes in Angular coming up in capitals. Can we do this in small? Yes, same format. I'll just copy this function, paste it. I'll call this function convert to lowercase and change the function to lowercase. Saved. Let's call this on HTML page. Lowercase called, and I can see everything in capital. So this is normal, this in capital, this in small. But the thing is here, what's happening? I am writing logic, right? Why? We are writing logic. At least one line is enough to create this function, but yes, still we are creating two functions, to upper, to lower. So to simplify this, this is again part of utility. Nothing special, but yeah, sometime it needs to show it that way. So what you guys can do, you can go for pipe operators, which is really simple to implement. And we also saw one note about it, that pipes can be used with HTML pages and are not allowed on TS files. So you can simply use on HTML pages. Great. So I'm on still page. Here we are. Let's put this thing again. Interpolation. What's the data? It's title, and just put a pipe here, just left of your enter button, pipe, shift, and you will get this option, single. And then after that you can type what I need uppercase. Saved, going back to HTML page, and there we are, pipes in Angular. Okay, with pipe. Likewise, you can also go for lowercase as well. So you guys can see we are not using any function. We have some ready-made functionality with us with pipe in Angular. So it is also working. Great. So likewise, you can use some more functions. Give it a try and check out how you can, you know, do this. Let's try one more example. We have time. So going back to TS file here, how to get today's date. Okay, the question is how to get today's date. So it also has a date function. So let's say today. So let's call today's date. Today's not coming up good. Let's say current date. And I'll call this date this way, function, and done. Current date. Okay, cool. How to get it on HTML page? I can use this function, I mean this variable, with uh, interpolation. Here it is used. Let's see how it comes up. There it is. So Wednesday, Feb 26, 2025, current time, GMT plus 5:30, IST, Indian Standard Time. Nice. So everything is coming up. Great. But this is too much, right? This is too much for any user. I want this in a simplest way, right? In a simplest way. Let's suppose I just want just date, month, and year. So I can go for the pipe operators. Yes, I can do that. So copy this. Let's put this on ST. It's 3 H3. Okay, copy it, paste it. Now with date, we also have one operator with date. So just give pipe operator, give date, uh, date, saved, compile successful, going back, and I can see Feb 26, 2025. So this is a default um, format or date format of date pipe that I want this way. There's one more. I mean, there are multiple ways. I can show you one more, then we can wrap up. If I want some more little bit information, instead of just saying date, I want some more, you can say attribute or a property of this date operator or date pipe operator. We call this date pipe operator. So if you want to give some functionality as well or some feature or property, put a colon and go specific that I want in full date way. Full date. Camel case full date. Let's go back and see. Now it is giving date day as well. Then instead of Feb, it's in February 26, 2025. So likewise, you can also it's possible that you can pass property of operator, the date operator. If you are supposed to give it, that's how it works. Okay, so that's it for today.